Hello, everybody, and welcome to a cup of self-empowerment to trust, heal, and be thyself. Not be myself. I'm being myself. You get to be thyself. I'm excited to welcome my very special guest today, Cassidy Bell, who's here today, and they are going to be talking about all the wonderful things that they do and how they stepped into trusting themselves, how they stepped into healing themselves, and how they also stepped into being their authentic self, which is ultimately what we're all here to do. So for those of you who don't know Cassidy is a human design specialist and an intuitive healer. Their interest in humanities started with a bachelor's degree in sociology and women gender studies, but it's been taken to a deeper level over the past couple of years through working with energy and learning human design. Cassidy's passion lies in helping curious humans rediscover their authentic selves and live their truth. Through human design, as well as other healing modalities, such as the Akashic Records, they will guide you into a deep self-understanding of inner awakening and the clarity and energy for fully executing your soul's purpose. That sounds beautiful. Welcome, Cassidy. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. This is so exciting.
Oh, that's good. So let's get started about, because everyone's obviously really curious to find out how you started trusting thyself on your personal journey.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think where it all kind of started was, throughout most of my childhood, I struggled a lot with my mental health, and really with my physical health as well. Like I was diagnosed with everything under the sun, from depression, anxiety, OCD, an eating disorder. I was diagnosed with bipolar and then undiagnosed with bipolar. So you name it, I've had it. And really what all of that was just a lack of trust in myself and in the universe, really. Mm-hmm. It wasn't really that I was broken, quote unquote, which is what I thought for so long. It was that I just wasn't trusting myself. I wasn't being authentic. I wasn't loving myself fully, and that's where it all kind of just ended up crumbling, because I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm done with hiding who I am. I'm done with not living myself, my life authentically. And that's when I kind of stumbled upon the Akashic Records and human design, and that's kind of what brought all of this together, because I was like, wow, all of these modalities are telling me that I have to trust myself in order for them to really work. And now it's just opened up my whole world. And, the beautiful Laura Mazzata is the one who brought me into the Akashic Records originally, and inner child healing and forgiveness work. And that's really where I was like, wow, I actually can learn how to be authentic and show who I am as a person. And that's okay. And it's actually really necessary for the world, for me to be authentic,
Definitely. Especially, obviously you got all these labels stuck onto you, you were putting all these different drawers to say, you're this, you're that, you're not, you were just suppressing your unique self because you knew you didn't fit in that box. You knew you didn't fit in that box. And that's absolutely okay, because each and every one of us is here to be our authentic self. And thank goodness that you met Laura, who saw you as your authentic self, who was ready to say, here's the hand, you hold it tightly, quickly, and then you're going to be walking this path on your own, and you're doing your own thing, which is exactly how it should be. We're all here to help each other. We're all equal, we're all eye level, we're all all on our own unique journeys, and some of us we all have different struggles, and what might be a struggle for someone might not be a struggle for someone else, but it doesn't mean that it's less important or more important, because everything's just so different and so unique, and the world outside is completely evolving as well. So we need to have that acceptance, have that open-mindedness, and especially that open-mindedness to ourselves, that we can trust and accept who we are, what we think, what we're feeling, the messages which are coming through to us, what our body is speaking to us. So are you still under all these labels, or have you managed to move away from that, not that, just for you to step away and say, obviously this must have been part of you stepping into healing yourself, is to letting go of all these labels what other people had unnecessarily put on you, because you're not an object, what you can just name, you know? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly how I see it, is I'm done with the labeling. Of course, this all started when I was very young, around like
Yeah.
13 years old. So it really stuck with me for so, so long
Well,
because I was so
especially in
young.
adolescence years, it's gonna
Yeah,
stick, and that's
you're so
tough.
impressionable. Like, it just made me feel like I was just this broken piece of glass that
I'm
like
so
no one
sorry
could
that you
put
felt
together.
that. I'm so sorry
Yeah.
that you felt that, because I'm sure you're not alone on that. I'm sure there's a ton of people out there who have gone through similar experiences, or, you know, have just felt like, you know, what's wrong with me? You know, am I broken? Why am I different? And that must be really, really tough.
Yeah, it was very difficult, but I also wouldn't trade those experiences for the world, you know, like feeling those feelings so deeply and so to my core, right? Like
Mhm.
I was so sad, and yet those feelings of sadness is what brought me to like just the happiest moments of my entire life, to extreme bliss and extreme pleasure. Like feeling both ends of that
Yeah.
has just been such a gift, and it took me a long time to realize that, of
Yeah.
course.
It does take a while
But
to work that one out, definitely.
yeah, absolutely. But at the end of the day, like I'm so grateful to have had those experiences, because I was able to really understand humanity in such a different way. And that's really why I chose sociology in college, because I was so like enamored with how we feel our feelings, and how, you know, like our parents, our childhood, our communities, how they affect us in so many different ways. And that's really where human design comes in too, because human design is all about both the individual and the community. It's how we interact with our own energy, and how the outside world interacts with our energy, and how our energy interacts with the outside world, right? Like all three of those things kind of come together to create a unique you. And that's why I love it so much, and why it like really fits into my human design to like do human design readings, because it's just so beautiful. It's such a beautiful modality that really brings forward how both unique we are, and how dependent we are on our communities. And that's a good thing, right? Like codependency is there a lot for a lot of people, but it is okay to be dependent on our communities, because we are affected by them and we need them. We are human beings. We are meant to be tribal. We are meant to have, you know, units, whether they be blood or friends or whatever it may be. But we're meant to have units in our life that really you know, come together with our energy and just help us blossom and grow. And that's so important. And that's why I just love all of these different things, but particularly human design, because it shows how necessary the collective is, and how necessary it is for you to be authentic in order for you to share with the collective, you know?
That's really cool. So, you know, by listening to that, I'm like, you know, what's coming up for me is like, you know, you probably, you know, just that when you started to heal yourself, you know, and started, you know, having, you know, someone be there for you, and then ultimately learning to use, you know, rediscovering your own tools basically, because they've always been there, you know, switching them on and literally going deeper and understanding them. It must have been really like lots of light bulb moments going off when you're like doing your human design. You're like, oh my goodness. So that's why this, like, you know, you can probably, I mean, I'm not a human design reader, you know, astrology, human design, that goes whoo, right over my head, I must admit, you know, that's why we have readers like you and other people to help us with that, because, you know, I need that. And because it's so complex, I find, and there is so much understanding what you can find out about yourself, which, you know, that actually blows my mind as well. So was it the same for you when you actually started to like work with human design and, you know, start analyzing yourself, so to say, that you could actually help yourself heal yourself as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, I love the Akashic Records and Reiki and all of these different types of
Yeah.
modalities, but it really was human design that brought forward like this need to be authentic, because it finally gave me the permission slip to actually do it, right?
Wow.
Like, when looking at my chart in particular, so just a little brief
Yeah, please.
explaining of human design for
Yeah,
people who don't
please.
know. It's basically the combination of the chakra system, the I Ching, the Western astrology and the Kabbalah, which is the tree of life in the Jewish religion.
Mhm.
But all these things kind of come together to create your unique human design blueprint. So we have energy centers, we have your energy type, and we also have gates and channels which connect all of the energy centers together. And when you look at like all of my gates, a lot of them are about feeling into your emotions. A lot of them are about like, you know, moving through the world with your body in particular, which is why I had so many issues with like eating and body image. A lot of it is all about like change and revolution, which is why I'm so like passionate about things. And so there are, I think there's 5 energy types. Sorry, I'm like so bad with numbers.
Don't worry, it's fine.
There's generators, manifesting generators, manifestors, reflectors, and projectors. And I am a manifester, which means that I have a open sacral center, which means that I don't generate energy the same way that other people do. And it was really, really profound for me to find that out, because I realized like I have to take life at a slower pace than other people. And that was so profound for me, because like I was trying to keep up with all these people who are generators and manifesting generators who have that defined sacral center, and I couldn't do it. And I thought there was something wrong with me. And that's where, you know, that anxiety comes in, right? Like, why can't I do this? Why am I not as good as other people? And it's because like, for me to be authentic, for me to actually hone in on my energy and to bring forward my gifts, I have to take it slower. I have to take time to rest and just be by myself and just, you know, take time to just have some downtime, to meditate, to be still. And I wasn't doing that. And when I found that out, I was like, okay, all right, universe, like I'll take time for myself. And I started taking time for myself, and everything opened up, everything changed. All of a sudden my work was so much better. Like I do social media work right now, and as well as readings and stuff like that. But like my downloads were coming so much more potently. They like things were just opening up for me in so many different ways, and just understanding how my energy flows through my body and all these different things. That's what brought forward my healing. That's what brought forward my getting rid of all those labels, because I'm not a depressed person. I had depression because I was allowing my energy to be stuck in my body. And of course I didn't know at the time. I was a child. And no one taught me how to move that energy. But with moving that energy and getting it through in the correct centers and making sure that I'm taking care of myself in the correct way that's unique for me, now that energy flows through me, and I don't have to be anxious. I don't have to be depressed. I don't have to have all these things happening. I can take time for myself and say, okay, you know, I'm starting to feel these things. That means I need to rest, or that means I need to eat, or I need to meditate, or whatever it may be, you know. And that was so profound for me.
Yeah, I think we do all tend to, like, each and everybody, we all put immense pressure on ourselves, and it doesn't matter what we're doing and who it's for, or, you know, if it's for ourselves, for our families, you know, for our job, you know, even if you're not necessarily walking a spiritual path, you're still at some point putting expectations on yourself. And sometimes we're walking down a pathway which is leading us to like not looking after ourselves and not listening to those silent little intuitive nudges which are indirectly telling you or whoever, or me or whatever, say you need to like kind of slow down there, you need to keep an eye on yourself there, you know, maybe it's time just to switch off social media for a bit, you know, maybe you just really just need to be a bit of a hermit for a week or so, and that's absolutely okay. You know, we do feel a lot of the time that we have to keep running the whole time, running, and you know, it gets really loud out there. I find anyway, it gets really, really loud, and sometimes this loudness can be overwhelming, and that overwhelm can actually make you start to question yourself. So, you know, understanding your human design, or generally just having trust in yourself, it allows you, as you said so beautifully, to have that permission slip to say, okay, this is what works for me and my energy. So that's really awesome that, you know, you could actually unpack yourself. You know, I always see human design as like in astrology is like you're actually, it's a way of unpacking yourself, and it's very fascinating. It is very fascinating. It's complex, I must admit, it's very complex. Yeah. And as you said, you know, you always have that kind of tool where, you know, where you can have lots of tools, and you can also use them more beautifully. But I always find there is always one what kind of pulls you in a little bit more. In your case, it's, you know, the human design. So I get that. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so obviously, you know, you started trusting yourself, which led you to healing yourself. And then, you know, it ultimately, as you said yourself, you know, is allowing you to stepping into your authentic self, you know. And what would you say was around about the moment where you'd say, okay, I know this is a continuous journey for each and every one of us, but the moment where you said, okay, I'm actually really honoring myself. I'm actually, you know, being sovereign to myself and, you know, standing towards my unapologetically as myself, you know, when was that for you, would you say?
You know, it's so funny because I feel like there's so many different moments where that happened for me.
Okay.
I'd say like really just recently, I like completely like my whole like life has opened up in so many ways. We just did the Embrace retreat with Laura Mazzata and Daisy Farrell in Massachusetts. And that was just absolutely profound for me. That was like, it really broke me open, and I just feel like so much more clear. But really, I guess the beginning of this journey, so I actually had the opportunity in my college to study abroad in Australia.
Oh,
And
cool.
yeah, it was so amazing. It was so exciting. And what was so funny, which is like just the synchronicities in Australia were just crazy. But what was
Yeah.
so funny is I had a friend from high school who was living in Australia at the time. And I ended up going on a road trip with her to Uluru, which is like the center of Australia. It's also known as Ayers
Yeah.
Rock. And
Oh,
there
lovely.
I was like, wow, I am living my dream life. I
Yeah.
am doing exactly what I want to be doing right now. And that's where I was like, oh my God, like this is crazy. And just so many things happened on that trip. Both of our grandmothers had just recently passed away right before I went on this trip. And
Mhm.
both of them like came to us like in like so many different ways. We were both like, oh my God, like that's definitely them. We like couldn't explain how we knew it was them, but we knew that they were there just
Wow.
sending us different signs. So that was really like the beginning of all of this. And then I'd say in 2020, when I switched over from, I used to do a lot of work in kitchens,
Okay.
and then I switched over to doing social media and working from home.
Mhm.
And that was also when I started to step into my authentic self, right? Because I was, you know, kitchens are busy. They're really
Yeah.
fast paced. They're really meant for people who are like generators or manifesting generators who constantly have energy coming up in their sacral center. And I just don't have that, right? So it was just really fast paced for me, and I couldn't keep up with the people. And all of a sudden I switched over to social media and I work from home. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, like this is so much better. I
Mhm.
finally have space and
Yeah.
time to just be myself.
Yeah.
So that was another big switch. And yeah, there's just been so many different times where I found just even deeper levels of my
Yeah.
authentic self, because like you said, it's a continuous journey.
Mhm.
But I find that just like every step of the way, I just go deeper and deeper into who I truly am. And it's really been a journey because, like I said, I started struggling with this from such a young age. And
Yeah.
so I really lost myself along the way, or I felt like I did. I was always there, obviously, but I really felt like I had lost myself for such a long time. It's just so beautiful to like come home finally to who
Oh,
I
yeah.
am, to really like embrace who I am. It's just been such a profound and amazing journey. And I'm so grateful for everyone who has been on this journey with me, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, I think this, you know, this can resonate with so many people out there, you know, so many people who have just been in that place where they just feel like there's dead ends going everywhere and they just don't know what they're doing, or, you know, and, you know, I'd like, whoever, you know, the people who are watching this today, you know, to just think back to those moments where you felt there was a shift going on, and actually, you know, go a little bit deeper and start analyzing what happened there, and then just look back and see how your life kind of pivoted forward after that, even if it what maybe even a dark moment at that time. You know, sometimes we have to go through, you know, the shit to start smelling the roses a little bit, kind of thing. Sometimes
Exactly.
it's the way it is, and it's not ideal, it's not comfortable, but sometimes the way we have to roll with it. And yeah, and especially, you know, for people who, I guess yourself, who've had to struggle with that from such a young age, you know, it's great that now you've got the tools that you can continuously shift it for yourself, but even more special is that you can help others to do exactly the same thing, which is amazing. Which leads me on to my next question. What advice would you give our viewers into stepping into, on a path of mastering thyself?
That's a really good question. So, of course, I would say know your human design, know how the energy flows within you, know where certain things are coming from, right? Like if you have a defined solar plexus, that means that your emotions are coming up from within you. But if it's undefined, that means that you're taking in emotions from other people and you're very empathic, and those things are coming from other people. But truly, what I'd also say too is just feel into your feelings. Don't block them out. Don't just let them take over your life, right? Because those feelings are messages from the universe. They are meant to guide you to who you are meant to be and where you're meant to be on this path, whether you're spiritual or not. No matter what you're doing, those feelings and those messages are coming to you for a reason, right? If you're feeling anxious or depressed, that means that that's a cue for you to step away and take a step back and reevaluate. Are these the people that I want in my life? Is this a job that I want? Is this the place I want to live? And of course, there's going to be, human things like money and time and whatever.
Of course. Always.
But that's okay, because you have the time, you have the ability to shift and to switch whatever it is in your field that isn't working for you anymore. And so I really just want everyone to feel into their feelings, really grasp onto them, because they are trying to tell you something. They are not the enemy, they're not there to hurt you. They're there to help you.
Yeah, that's actually perfectly put, because a lot of the time, what do we do when we feel something? We stuff it down. Well, if it feels uncomfortable, we stuff it even quicker and even deeper down. So yeah, definitely.
That's where a lot of my issues came from too, because especially with the eating, and I also had some issues with drug dependency and an alcohol dependency as an adolescent, and all of those things. It was just to keep my emotions away. I just didn't want to feel them anymore. I was so against having emotions, and I was told by so many people in my community that I wasn't allowed to be sensitive. I wasn't allowed to feel my feelings. And that really just pushed it down even more. And so, getting sober and just allowing myself to finally feel into my feelings and really evaluate, and you don't have to analyze everything, right? But just letting them come out and letting yourself just scream it out sometimes is just better than stuffing it down and pushing them away. Because like I said, they are meant to be there for a reason. Otherwise you wouldn't be having those feelings, right? They wouldn't be there if you weren't meant to feel them.
It's a lot, definitely, the whole you shouldn't be expressing your feelings is, it's like the older generations. It's kind of like how we were all raised, kind of thing. You've got to be tough, you've got to swallow it basically, and not be so soft and so sensitive. And this is what's coming forward today, is it's a gift actually to have that sensitivity, and it's not a curse. And it's just you have to understand how you can best work with it, I guess, is the best way to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do feel of course, I think that we all have to feel a little bit of sympathy for that, right? People who are pushing you down, they are traumatized as well. They've been through their own experiences where they weren't allowed to feel their feelings, and when they did, they were told they were wrong, or they were put into an even scarier situation than that. And so of course, there's so much sympathy and so much forgiveness that I have for, just the people in my life who haven't necessarily allowed me to be authentic, right? Or just everyone in general. There's so much sympathy that I have there, because that just means that they're struggling as well. But that doesn't mean that you have to take that on, and that doesn't mean that anyone else has to tell you what to do. You're allowed to be your authentic self. You're allowed to step into your power and still hold space for those people. But don't let them control you in any way, because you're not meant to be controlled. You're meant to be just this blossoming, beautiful flower and bring your beauty to the world.
Wow, that's wonderful. I'm not going to comment anymore on that, because I want that one just to sit, because that's just a beautiful message there. It's really, really beautiful.
Thank you. I don't even know
Oh,
where that came from, but the
you know,
universe.
it's supposed to come free. You channeled it free. So how would
Exactly.
you, so how, if like someone's watching us today and saying, hey, I really can connect with your energy and, I really want to connect with Cassidy. How can they reach out to you? Where can people find you?
So the best place to find me would be Instagram. I am intuitive.honey on Instagram. You can also find me on Facebook under the same name as well. And my links and my website will all be in the bio right there. So you can just go to my Instagram or my Facebook and you'll be able to find me. You can DM me if you need anything. I'm always available to talk, especially through like a lot of this stuff, because I know how hard it is. And
Yeah.
I've been there, right?
Yeah, of
Like,
course. And
know how much,
exactly.
yeah. So just, hit me up. I'm on
Oh,
Instagram, Facebook, wherever. So, hey.
no, that's really, as it's really, thank you for being so open about everything, because sometimes people want to, it is hard to sometimes express all this and say this out loud, and especially to a public audience as well. So from my heart to yours, thank you so much for being so raw with us and being so open about this, because I think everyone needs to hear this. People need to see that it's okay. It's absolutely, we create our own norm, I feel, and that's exactly how it should be, without any judgment, and just having that compassion for each other as well. So thank you so much, Cassie, for being here today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I look forward to welcoming you again so we can talk some more about human design and all the other wonderful healing modalities that you've got experience in. So to everyone else, we hope you enjoyed our chat on our cuppa as much as we did today. And yeah, have a beautiful day or evening or afternoon, depending where you are in the world. I have mine too. And we will see you all very, very soon. Much love to you all and goodbye.
Bye.
And I can't find the stop button. This is a bit embarrassing.